I'd like to remind you of something that I think is going to be increasingly important in the current year and the years to come. We're all creators. That's this week on the Badass Agile podcast. Greetings, team. Welcome to the Badass Agile podcast. I'm your host, Chris Williams. Hey, welcome back, my friend. Good to see you. Hope you're having a good week. I'm inspired to share with you something this week that has influenced my thinking and what I build. I just want to remind you that everything you do has impacts, no matter how small, no matter how slow. And when you look at it that way, it doesn't matter whether you're a developer, product owner, business analyst, scrum master, agile coach, or something different entirely. It doesn't matter. You're still a creator. But first, let's take a moment to remember why we're here. To create an elite tribe of leaders who truly serve their clients and communities by doing what matters and what works, relentlessly chasing value and excellence like a badass. There's so many resources out there about what you need to do to be agile, but we're focused on who you need to become in order to lead teams. So let's hammer down those fundamentals to create a truly unique and powerful force in this industry. And remember, if you like this show, if it helps you, all I want you to do is tell some of your friends. We are all creators, like a writer, an artist, a sculptor, a musician. There's no difference between what they do and what we do. And I'm reminded of this because I saw a picture on LinkedIn. Eventually it was sent to me, but I happened to catch this just scrolling through my feed. Two of my ex-Forge students from completely different cohorts, living in completely different countries, happened to run into one another at an Agile conference. So the two of them decided to get together because they knew of each other, sit down, have a drink and something to eat, and take a picture. And I realized that union, that meeting, never would have happened if it weren't for what I created, if I hadn't made this show, if this show didn't have followers and listeners like you, if I hadn't then gone on to make the Forge itself, and if that experience hadn't been transformational, if it hadn't been a big part of people's lives, memorable. Anyone can take a course. You're not likely to remember every course you ever took. And in this digital age, you're not likely to remember or even know the people who took it with you. But these cohorts, we do something different. We become something bigger. That people who have been through the Forge feel like they've been through something together. They've lived through something. They grew somehow. They were transformed. And that shared experience makes them alike. And so forms a friendship, a meeting, even just a discussion that never would have happened if it weren't for me. Everything we do creates ripples. Because keep in mind, the Forge isn't something I joined or I bought. It was all my own. It was a chance. It was a shot in the dark. I didn't know if it would work. I didn't know if anyone would listen to the podcast, except for, close circle of friends maybe. I had no idea where this would go. And look, it's not that this show is world famous, and it doesn't need to be. It just needs to be good enough for 10 people, 50 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, whatever. I'll take whatever I can get. That small group of listeners, you create change in them. So if you create a document, if you create a product, if you create an experience, if you facilitate a session, you're doing something that makes slight changes, that has tiny, tiny ripples of impact in the lives of people who get to experience it. And that matters. It matters because I feel like these days, most of the people who talk about Agile in a big business context, Agile for big banks, Agile for big retail, Agile for government, Agile for healthcare, it feels like you're on somebody else's ride. You're there to fill a role, to do a job, to meet a job description. You forget that what you bring to the table is your own unique creation, and no two people can make the same thing. So, what is the impact that you make? Does that make you happy? Is that something you'd like to do over and over, more than once? When you realize that, you become an owner. You take pride in and spend time on the care and feeding of your idea, your significance, your distinction, whatever it is that you offer that probably nobody else can offer, at least not in the exact same way. that thing that you make that makes you unique is what makes life worth living. And I think we've forgotten. Because on one hand, work is just something you do to collect the paycheck that you need, to take care of the essentials, feed your family, put a roof over their head, etc. But I think people who end up feeling fulfilled, who are really happy, who really love what they do. And remember, it's the love for what you do that hoists you up during the difficult times. Oh my God, why am I doing this? Oh, I remember, because I created ripples that traveled all the way across the ocean, 2 different countries, bringing 2 different people together to discuss an experience that only existed because I willed it into existence. People who have that, people who see themselves as creators, I think, live much happier lives. Now, there's nothing wrong and there's no judgment in showing up, doing the work, collecting your paycheck. But I don't know, man. I've said this many times. I've dealt with an awful lot of people now, over 10 cohorts of the Forge itself. I know one thing for sure. People who gravitate towards agility, people who gravitate towards the Forge, people who gravitate towards leadership, they kind of have one thing in common. They're impact people. They want to make change, and they see Agile as their opportunity to make it. What are we making? I don't know. We're just bringing really cool ideas to market faster or better. We're enabling experimentation so you can try a whole bunch of things that don't work to arrive at something that does. Everyone who knows and loves Agile gets this. Some people just want to make teams better, more productive, more efficient, more innovative. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is that you create, that creation makes opportunities. Because you've placed something into the pond like throwing a pebble into the still water. And those ripples are one of a kind. They're uniquely yours. And even though you can't see them, that motion is unstoppable. Long after you can't see the ripples on the surface, the water is still moving underneath. However slightly, things have still been rearranged. Molecules are in a different place. You've altered the flow. Now, for you, that means you have a unique opportunity to build something that didn't exist before, that somebody somewhere gets value from, and to my mind, agility is all about value. Why is this important? Because as we move forward, what separates the greats from the people who just want to be in the Agile game because there used to be a great dollar figure attached to the paycheck, what's going to set you apart from all your competition is what is it that you make. To simply say, I'm an Agile coach or I'm a Scrum Master, so I fulfill all of the job descriptions of an Agile coach or Scrum Master, that's selling yourself short and that's missing the point. And I encourage you now, in an era where the economy is very uncertain, in fact, the political stage itself is very uncertain. At the beginning of 2025, who knows what's going on? And forget politics. Technology continues to change the world. We're exploring space. We're exploring freedom from fossil fuels. We're exploring artificial intelligence. We're able to see more, communicate faster, store more information, and make sense of that information in ways that we couldn't have 20 years ago. Around the time Agile started, this world was a very different place. So I don't want you to think of yourself as someone who just fulfills that job description anymore. I want you to think of yourself as someone who creates something valuable and unique. An experience from which people emerge changed. And my point is, I didn't need a bunch of venture capitalists. I didn't need a bunch of support. I didn't need a bunch of business experts or fellow entrepreneurs to tell me how to build the Forge. I just made it. I made it because I wanted to see it exist. And you should do the same thing too. You can do it for your company or you can do it for yourself. But I think that freedom, autonomy, greatness, prosperity in the future depends on you setting yourself apart with this knowledge that everything you do leaves ripples. Everything you do makes impact. And when I say everything you do, I don't mean your ability to follow the rules of Agile, the rules of anything else for that matter. But I'm referring to your ability to boldly create, to see into the future with vision, to make something that didn't exist yesterday, to say something, to do something, to invent something that other people respond to. Maybe it's something that opens other people's eyes, a clarity, an understanding of how to do stuff or why to do stuff. that they didn't have before. Could be a new technology, a new system. It could be a new product. It doesn't matter what you create. It could just be an experience amongst people, a learning experience, a facilitation experience. All of those things are creations. And like an artist, your job is to make things that are expressive of your thoughts, your feelings, your desires, your life experiences. What do you think the world needs? And to simply put it out there for others to experience. If they don't like it, they'll tell you. But if it helps them, if they love it, they'll let you know too. They'll tell their friends, and more people will come. They'll show it to their boss. And those people will call you and say, would you come and speak to my team? Would you come and lead a conference keynote? Would you come and coach us? Would you come and work for us? Would you come and teach us? Can we buy your show? Can we use your blog? We live in such an incredible age where you're not limited to the people in your neighborhood, the people you can easily travel to and physically meet and touch. You can reach people anywhere in the world. This show has been heard in over 150 countries. That's remarkable. And sometimes you take it for granted as you're, plodding through, how do I make the podcast sound better? How do I get a hold of this guest? How do I get more reach? What do I do after episode 500? Where should I pivot? Where should I head? Should I keep doing it? You're so heads down in the work of doing what you do every day that you forget that the measure of greatness, of a great life, is the impact that you have on the people that you reach, the people that are in your life. Whether that's one person or whether it's 1 million people, doesn't really matter. It's the making of the ripple that makes you a creator. When you make something that generates waves, that changes the flow, such that the world is different because you were in it, you, my friend, are a creator. I've done an episode before on how Agile is a form of artistry, and I still believe that. This is my music. This is my novel. This is my sculpture. What's yours? It's a good time to start thinking about it. And you know what? The answer won't come to you overnight. I know this from experience building this show, building the Forge, that none of it just showed up as an aha moment. However, over time, as I rolled it between my fingers and gave it a good long stare, sat with it for a while, lived with it for a while, I could start to see where I wanted to make my impact. Who did I want to reach? How did I want to reach them? What did I want to tell them? What would I love them to know? What story could I relate about my experience that might be helpful to someone who's going through the same thing? Some people just want to go collect the check. Again, no judgment. Some people just want to do the job. No judgment. But when you're ready, the idea of making greater impact might start to appeal to you. And when it does, I want you to think about, what would that impact be? You don't even have to know what you're going to create yet. Simply that you want to make ripples in this world. I think that's fantastic. And for those of you who think, that's got nothing to do with me, I'm just a developer, I'm just an analyst, I'm just a tester, I'm just a scrum master, no such thing. If you want to be happy and feel fulfilled, let me tell you, the job's always going to suck. The job, the people that you work for who sign your check are not going to give you that fulfillment. That's not their job. It's not their accountability. And they're probably going to suck at it anyway. It's up to you to find something that brings you meaning. Something that at the end of the day, you can look back on and be proud of and say, I'm glad I did that. This, and here I'm thinking of that photograph of my two friends from two separate countries. It is that moment in that photograph, the connection, the agreement, the support, the leadership that was built, and the change that it made in their lives and their careers. Well, that's what I wanted to build. And I hope you find that thing too. And I hope you go build it, because I'm not special. I didn't have anything that you don't have. And yet one day, some 8 years after starting this show, the results show up. The impact that I made just kind of accrued on its own to the point where it bubbled over, and I got to see proof of it without asking for it. There it was on my LinkedIn feed. Boom. I'll tell you what, it's pretty rewarding. It's pretty fulfilling. And I wish it for all of you. So never forget that we're all creator. So what will you create? And hey, if you choose to create something that requires you become entrepreneurial or start a side hustle, or inspires you to chase a bigger, better position within the company that you're already working for, or maybe a company you've always wanted to work for, I hope you go do it. It takes courage, my friends, and not everyone will try. But what about you? Reach out and let me know. What will your impact be? It's good to see you this week. I hope this finds you well. And don't worry, I'll be back next week. I look forward to seeing you then. If you want to find me, all my contact details are down below in the show notes. Don't hesitate to reach out. I'm going to see you in the next episode, and until then, stay badass.